A Columbia University student has been released after being detained at one of the school's residential buildings by federal immigration agents. Elmina Aghayeva posted on social media yesterday that she was, quote, safe and okay, but in complete shock over what happened. She's now back on campus after several hours in custody. The university claims that the agents lied to get into her building. Homeland Security officials deny that. CBS News correspondent Tom Hanson looks at the latest detention case as the school is really reeling and has other students that have been taken away. So, Tom, what do we know about this unrest, how it unfolded? Was anybody else detained as well, and what's the latest?
Yeah, so let's walk through a timeline of events here. So this unfolded yesterday morning, 6:30 a.m. That is when agents entered a residential building and detained Aghayeva. DHS says it was on the basis of a student visa that was no longer valid. They say Aghayeva didn't attend classes back in 2016, so they revoked her visa. We have not been able to confirm that with university officials or anyone close to the student. But Columbia President Claire Shipman released a video this morning saying that authorities claim that they were actually part of NYPD and that they were searching for a missing person, a child, going around on surveillance video showing a picture, and then they got to Aghayeva's room and detained her. It was then that public safety officers from the university arrived. They tried to prevent the situation from happening, but Aghayeva was ultimately taken away. So Columbia University obviously not mincing words that they think this was completely wrong, completely beyond the bounds of what authorities can and should do. They actually issued a statement saying it is important to reiterate that all law enforcement agents must have a judicial warrant or judicial subpoena to access non-public areas of the university. The agents did not have a warrant. They did not offer one up when approached by public safety officers. The other thing I should say is DHS has come out and said that they were, in fact, completely within the bounds of what they could do. So DHS said the Homeland Security investigators verbally identified themselves and visibly wore badges around their necks. They did not and would not identify themselves as NYPD. So you have a war of words here. Really, there's going to be an investigation to get to the bottom of just what happened, but we're eagerly awaiting that surveillance video that Columbia University says that they have.
And does it have audio? Because it's one thing, to see the surveillance video, but if you hear exactly what these agents said, that'll help settle this.
So what's really remarkable about this incident, Tom, as you know, is that the mayor of New York City, Zohran Mamdani, happened to be in Washington meeting with the president of the United States. Apparently he, and I saw his tweet, appealed directly to President Trump. And apparently President Trump made a phone call, and I'm sure those DHS or those ICE officials were most likely shocked when you get the call from the commander-in-chief to release this person that Claire Shipman says they detained under means that they were not legally allowed to do so.
Yeah, timing really is everything. So it was serendipitous that the mayor was actually down in D.C. meeting with the president. He was actually meeting with the president about housing policy and a real estate project that he wants to get approved. And that's when he brought this up. So to be a fly on the wall of that conversation, but ultimately.
Did you see the photo? I mean, did you see the smile on the president's face in meeting Mamdani in the Oval Office? There it is, grinning from ear to ear. And so it does appear that these two men have forged a relationship of sorts, which is why, because we know the president is tough. He doesn't bend or acquiesce to demands sometimes from people. And the fact that this mayor was able to ask something, which is kind of as a favor to the mayor, and the president delivered.
Yeah, it really is a testament to this strangely warm relationship that the two have. You have on one side President Trump calling Mayor Mamdani a communist. You have Mayor Mamdani calling Trump a fascist, but somehow they have this kind of symbiotic relationship where they have been able to communicate with each other, get things done. This obviously proved to be pretty effective.
One last question I have, Tom. I'm trying to understand the timeline. 2016 is 10 years ago. How she's in college or she's now a graduate student? Do we know?
She's a graduate student now studying neuroscience.
Okay.
So this is way in the past and something that we are digging into to see if, in fact, she did have a student visa that was revoked on the basis of not attending classes. That's not something we've been able to confirm
just yet. Was it a student visa at Columbia or perhaps at a high school or something like that? I know the team is working on that. Something else, that I think is important is just the context of Columbia University. I mean, they had the unrest. They had federal funding withheld from the university. They've really been the center of a lot of the focus of the administration.
And Claire Shipman is an interim president because the last president was forced to step down.
Exactly. And so we'll have to see how the university kind of keeps things calm on campus where I know there are jitters.
Why doesn't anything ever happen at Princeton? Why is it just my alma mater? I don't know. You never hear anything about
No
Princeton.
comment, no comment.
You know, I should just say really quickly on the note of the protests, there were protests yesterday. Several hundred students did show up. They were largely peaceful, and they did dissipate mid-afternoon, but we are going to be monitoring that very closely as well.
Tom Hanson with all the
Thank you,
details.
Tom.
I know you're on it. Thank you so much.